What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. Last time, we covered the Universe 6 tournament as our group came out victorious thanks to Broly's time chamber training with Gohan. Being in there for a while with Gohan allowed him to fully tap into God Ki, which he already possessed, and actually go Super Saiyan God for the first time, something Whis wanted him to do forever. Although, he couldn't really control it too well, and he fell out of the form after using one of his strongest attacks versus Hit. At the end of the last part, we saw a look into Trunks' timeline as he escapes from a somewhat unexpected villain, Vegeta Black. And Trunks didn't escape alone. Obviously, we have a lot of explaining to do, so let's just get right into it. First, let's talk about Vegeta Black. The explanation is simple really. Zamasu stole Vegeta's body this time because he made some mistakes in his research. He saw Vegeta go blue first, and maintain it the best of anyone. Broly only has access to God, so Zamasu greatly underestimates him since he realizes it's a weaker form than Blue. Not to mention, Broly couldn't even really control it that well. As for Gohan, who has the more powerful mastered Super Saiyan Blue, and more power in general, Zamasu saw him struggling with that power without knowing that it was a different form of Blue and was more powerful. He only saw that Gohan couldn't really handle it as well as Vegeta did with the regular Blue. Besides, Zamasu is able to find out that Gohan is a half Saiyan, and he thinks he might not get the same benefits that someone like Vegeta would get from being a full Saiyan and getting Zenkais. He also thinks that's the reason Gohan could control Super Saiyan Blue. Zamasu is obviously wrong, but he went with Vegeta nonetheless, which wasn't a particularly bad choice. We know how powerful Goku Black was even in his base form, so Vegeta Black will still be very strong. Now let's get into the actual story from where we left off. At Capsule Corp, Trunks' time machine appears out of nowhere and Bulma is the first to see it. When she sees what's inside the ship, she calls everyone over immediately. The Saiyans in our timeline arrive and they see a familiar face, Trunks, unconscious in the ship. But everyone, especially Broly and Paragus, are shocked to see that someone else is in the ship. Another Broly. A lot obviously happened with Trunks, so once the two of them wake up, they'll have to find out what went on. After some time, future Trunks and future Broly wake up and immediately jump back when they see Vegeta, until they realize it's not Vegeta Black. Trunks calms down, but given that it's the first time he's time traveled, future Broly is just as confused as everyone else. Trunks knows that he has some catching up to do with everyone since he saw them last time. Let's flash back a little bit to Trunks' timeline. After the defeat of Cell, Trunks obviously was able to go back and defeat 17, 18, and Cell from his own timeline. But one thing stuck with him from traveling into the past. If Broly and Paragus were alive on Vampa, then maybe he can go there as well and find them as some allies. It would require a lot of explaining, but seeing how Broly helped and performed against Cell, Trunks wants to help future Broly and Paragus and have them as allies. After the arrival and defeat of Boo in his timeline, Trunks realized that it was time to find an ally in case they face any future threats like this. With some astronomy and her knowledge of making ships like this, Bulma worked on a ship to travel to Vampa, and the two of them travel to the planet to meet the future versions of Paragus and Broly, which is pretty risky considering how Broly and Paragus originally acted. Unlike something like New Namek, Vampa wasn't something that was too hard to find, because unlike New Namek, it's not purposefully hiding like New Namek, it's just out there like any other planet would be. There's no date for when Babidi and Deborah arrived in the future. All we know is that it's sometime between age 788 and age 796. So when they get to Vampa, it's sometime within the 790s. Sadly, they arrive to only find Broly, who's still in his prime since he's a Saiyan. Of course, this is because Paragus is dead in this timeline from old age and having such poor living conditions. He's far surpassed his prime as a Saiyan, and he would have been 90 years or older at this point. Broly was left alone on Vampa for that whole time. Trunks was able to explain himself to Broly and gain his trust, and saved him from the planet and brought him to Earth. I mean, Broly didn't really have any other option, and going away from this planet was better. Broly only believed Trunks' time travel story because he's somewhat naive, and how else would Trunks know his name, location, and who his father is? That's the only real explanation that he could think of. With Broly on Earth, he's now happy to have a good planet to live on, and he began training with Trunks. But sadly, even after the defeat of Deborah and Babidi, Vegeta Black then arrived, and we're now in where we began at this part. Taking that all in, the group is obviously going to help these two. Broly interacts with his future self, and it's odd to see the difference between the two. Future Broly is still very inexperienced with fighting and is not as powerful as he should be, despite training with Trunks. Trunks was never able to teach him how to go Super Saiyan, but future Broly still has control over his wrathful form at the very least. Trunks is amazed to see how powerful everyone is now, while he was gone in his own timeline. While in the past, and waiting for the time machine to be refueled, the two of them train with the groups. Future Broly ends up training with Broly and Gohan so they could see if they can get him to unlock Super Saiyan, as those two would probably know it best. Broly knows himself better than anyone, and now that he knows how he can make himself control Super Saiyan, he and Gohan can help Future Broly while Trunks trains with Vegeta. Before training even starts though, the group gets another unexpected visitor, Vegeta Black. Beerus and Whis sense that he has immense godly ki, and see he has a time ring, and they feel that the ki he has is familiar. This gets them thinking about who this guy actually is. Vegeta on the other hand is livid to see his imposter. Unlike Goku, he doesn't mess around. He instantly jumps in to fight him, and he powers up to blue right away, much to the shock of Vegeta Black. Vegeta Black's confident and smug look is wiped off his face right as Vegeta powers up in front of him. With one quick final flash, he fires it at Vegeta Black and, well, Vegeta Black dies. Yep, Vegeta goes all out and kills him out of anger. I know, some of you are probably wondering why I would even introduce him to kill him off that quickly. But think of how Vegeta is. Knowing Vegeta, imagine he saw someone that stole his body. Actually, scratch that, we don't even need to imagine. I never thought I'd reference the Copy Vegeta saga, and it doesn't happen in this scenario because I'm not going to cover it, but we can just look at how Vegeta acted here. He was powerless and couldn't even fight, so that's why he didn't end up killing Copy Vegeta, but he was set on actually taking him out for mimicking him. If Vegeta did have the ability to actually fight him at that point, he would have killed him right away. And I'm sure, especially after he heard what Vegeta Black did, killing his wife and what he did to his son's future, he's even angrier than he would have been against Copy Vegeta. So yeah, Vegeta doesn't even try to fight him and gauge his power like Goku did. He just goes full power and blasts Vegeta Black into oblivion. Huh, that was actually pretty easy. Trunks is amazed to see how easily Vegeta killed Vegeta Black after all the trouble he caused. Vegeta Black in base may have been powerful, but he still wouldn't compare to Vegeta Blue at this point. What a pathetic excuse for an imposter. Well, there's not much else to do, but the group still is going to head to the future and needs to wait for the time machine to refuel, so they train in the meantime. While they train, Whis tells Beerus that he has a hunch as to who Vegeta Black is, so he, Shin, and Beerus take an early trip to Universe 7 during the group's training. Given how future Broly has already mastered his wrathful form, present Broly and Gohan don't have much trouble training him. With Broly's knowledge of himself and Gohan's longtime mastery of the form, they're actually able to get future Broly to tap into Super Saiyan, although very briefly. He definitely has the power and ability to do it. He just needed some help from someone that could help him control it and actually access it. Trunks achieved it through anger, and knew that it would be a very bad way to get Broly to transform. Cause if he were to make Broly angry to transform, that wouldn't have ended up well. It would have just killed everyone. So he actually never taught him the form, but this way is actually a lot better and actually lets him access it for once. And of course, Trunks trains with Vegeta and catches up with Gohan, and everything goes pretty smoothly in the past. But just to make sure the future is entirely safe, now with a bigger time machine, the group of Trunks, Vegeta, Goku, Gohan, and the two Brolys are about to head to the future. However, Beerus and Whis stop them before they can time travel, because they feel they know who Vegeta Black actually was. After visiting Universe 7, they deduce that the key was most definitely Zamasu's, which was exactly what Whis predicted. And after hearing Zamasu's views on mortals, it's safe to assume that he did it. But they have no solid proof yet other than accusations. They tell the group to look out for him in the future and see if he really is the one responsible, and they'll monitor Zamasu in this timeline. If he is there, they won't miss him. They'll know it's him. The group knows that there may be danger, and they have to get to the bottom of whatever Zamasu did to make Vegeta Black evil, or whatever caused Vegeta Black to even be a thing. So in the future, they arrived at the destroyed city and meet with Mai and the civilians and help them out as usual. But they can't spend too much time here, that's not their main mission. Now, they have to see if there's still a threat here in the future, and see if Zamasu is behind this and how he accomplished it. With no Vegeta Black, they should be fine right now, and they won't have any threat other than the possible threat of Zamasu. Meanwhile, on the same timeline, Zamasu is getting pretty nervous. Vegeta Black hasn't returned yet in a few days, and Zamasu can't even sense his ki. He could continue his plan alone, but it might not be enough. First, he actually has to find out if Vegeta Black died. Suddenly, he senses some large ki sources approaching. This is the first time Zamasu is actually nervous, despite his immortality. "So, you must be Zamasu," Trunks says. The group wastes no time and launches a full assault on him, completely destroying him. In terms of power, he's outmatched, but he keeps regenerating and the group finds out about his immortality. His anxiety turns to confidence as he explains what happened and what he did. The group is worried now seeing that he's immortal and will keep regenerating, but Goku gets an idea. While I didn't do this in my what if about Gohan training after Buu, which I will link at the top of this video, there's different circumstances here. It's never brought up in that scenario, but the fact that Goku realizes future Vampa exists here, that gets him to think, well, that would mean new Namek exists. He turns to Trunks and asks if he knows about it, and he does, but they were never able to find it and he realizes he made a dumb mistake by not asking Shin about it, at least while he was alive. They obviously can only find Vampa, and Bulma did attempt to find new Namek, but nothing worked. The planet was too well hidden. But Goku doesn't need any of that. He already has his own trick, and knowing that the planet exists, that's all he needs. He tells everyone to grab on, and they warp to Namek. Well, if he used the Dragon Balls to gain immortality, then let's use our own set to remove it. Goku, having realized that new Namek exists here, brought the group there to get Dragon Balls and wished for Zamasu's immortality to be removed. However, Zamasu might be able to find them if they are not quick enough. So now on the clock, the group begins finding Dragon Balls and reversing Zamasu's immortality, and using another wish to destroy the time ring because they realize he could travel to other times with it. Now let's leave this up to a poll. Given that the Dragon Balls, not just Super Dragon Balls, can grant immortality, we don't know if they can remove immortality, but it's very likely that they can remove it if they can grant it. But given Zamasu wished for immortality with Super Dragon Balls, I want you guys to decide. Will Namek's Dragon Balls be powerful enough to remove Zamasu's immortality, yes or no? Make sure to vote on the poll so your thoughts can be heard. So which option did you vote for and why? What did you think about this part and how will the next part go? What will Zamasu do without Vegeta Black? And what will the group do if the plan doesn't work? Comment your suggestions and ideas below as we prepare for the next part. As always, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications about future parts of this What If and other videos of mine. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.